I'm from La. This is my town, and my mom and my daddy, they're from La. You know, so all my family from La, but I'm half. What I mean half? Like I'm half Ashanti, Afghan. You know, because of my parents live in the Cape Coast. You know, and when my parents live there, they meet one of the slave master. You know, they make baby with him. You know, so people call me Partisan. You know, when in Partisan, when you go to Cape Coast, it's Partisan family over there, but it's from Britain. You know, so I'm half. But this is my land now. I don't want to go nowhere. I like Ghana, so I wish people back in states, wherever, to come to know more. It's home sweet home. We have a symbol, Sankofa. It means go back to your roots. You can see the bird taking air from his back. That's the meaning of Sankofa. Go back to your roots. Sankofa.
We are in Elmina Castle. Elmina Castle, built by the Portuguese around 1482. Elmina is a very local community, and their main occupation is fishing. So a lot of canoes and a lot of fishermen are found here, and it's a very noble fishing community. The Portuguese were the first Europeans to arrive at the west coast of Africa, and which is Ghana here. When they came to discover the land of Elmina, Elmina was named Damina by the Portuguese. They found and realized gold here. The Portuguese also named Cape Coast Cabo Corso in their language, which means short cape. Elmina Castle is the first castle built along the coast of Gold Coast. In Ghana, we are having 3 castles in Ghana and 14 forts. Among the 3 castles in Ghana are Elmina Castle, Christian Bond Castle, which is in Accra, built by the Danes, 1661. Cape Coast Castle was the 3rd castle built by the British, 1665. So this castle in the olden days was built for their trading purposes. But when we come to Elmina Castle, we will realize some places like the dungeons. The dungeons was made up of 2, the male dungeon and the female dungeon. We have the church. You can realize here by the Portuguese, which was the Catholic church they brought down here to the coast. We also have the magazines where they were using as their storerooms or storehouses for most of their trading commodities. When you come here, you will realize where the governors were living or the administrators were staying. We also have the cells for the Portuguese soldiers, and also the cell for the local people. We call them the condemned cells. Condemned cells were used to keep recalcitrant, revolted slaves, arrogant and resistant slaves who tried to fight for their right and freedom. They were sent to the condemned cells till they die. They have the European cells too, which was widely different from that of the condemned cells. They were punishing most of these soldiers who were trying to be stubborn. They were raping most of the African women. They were indulging themselves in a lot of activities which wasn't convenient to their settlement. For that, they did had a cell to punish them.
Where we are now was the cell for the Africans or the slaves. Some of the slaves didn't understand why they should be here, so they fought for their freedom. Their leaders who fought for their freedom were captured and they were brought here, depending upon the number that they will get. But now we may call those people who fought for their freedom, but they were imprisoned here, freedom fighters. As soon as you came to this room, there will be no food, no water. You'll be made to die out of hunger, and you'll starve to die. So you come into this room alive, you go out dead. When one dies, the person was not buried. They tied a rope onto the person's waist with stones, and the person will be thrown into the sea to be fed by fishes. The reefs there, after sharing this sad story with people like you, they lay these reefs in the memory of their ancestors.
We are now entering the female dungeon. The female dungeon, they were keeping a lot of women waiting for the ships. And they have the women were passing this very section to join the men here. And they'll be passing through that door of no return or gate of no return from my left. So the women were here and they were marching here to pick the boat. We are in the courtyard of the female dungeon and also the courtyard for the governor or the merchant. The governor was living upstairs. So this was leading to the room or the bedroom of the governor. So whilst he comes outside, he comes here to select the women. So the soldiers used to escort the women through this staircase they take. But this very wall here allows the governor to stand to make selection of the African women. So the African women will be marched or will be surrounded in the courtyard when the governor wants to rape or want to call one for sexual harassment. The stubborn ones who may try to resist were being chained along the cannonballs here. So they were punished in the sun for about a lot of hours, and later they'll be taken back to the dungeon. We are now going to the female dungeon. The first chamber of the dungeon is this section. This is the first chamber of the female dungeon, and it was holding about 400 women were kept in one room. 400 women. Most of the women died here in the dungeon, yeah. And the dungeon for the females in Elmina Castle is very horrible. The smelling of the room is still heavy and very spiritual and stuff. Yeah. Now these flowers or ribs you can find in the dungeon were presented by the African Americans, both our sisters and brothers from the diaspora, when they come back to the community or to their motherland to trace their roots. They present these flowers and wreaths to the dungeons to remember their forefathers or to remember their ancestors. They weren't keeping records of the dead slaves. But one thing is that record about the number of slaves taken from West Africa or Africa per se. It was believed that they were taking 10 million slaves from Africa, majority from West Africa. 650,000 slaves were taken from Gold Coast. But later, most of the record about the slaves were burnt. Few were found. And after they did abolish slave trading in the world, 1807, most of the tunnel leading to the trading of the slaves in the dungeons were blocked, which signifies that there was no more trading of slaves in the castle or in the coast. This is the male dungeon. The male dungeon is made up of about 3 chambers. So this is the first chamber of the dungeon. But this dungeon, it is leading to the gate of no return. But we also have other chambers outside. And about 300 men were kept here in this room. So we are now marching through the gate of no return for the awaiting boat, which will be leading the slaves to the ships. The females were coming from this section to join the men. Yeah, there was a steps leading downstairs. So the women were marching from that section to pass through this very thin or this very small hole here, which leads to the gate of no return. So for the slaves to say goodbye to the motherland. So slaves from Africa to the Caribbean, they weren't able to swim back to their country. We weren't able to discover where we were coming from. Thereafter, when we got there and we tried to trade, African man was very strong enough that whatever was happening to him or her, they tried to stay there and cope. We laid families. We had descendants. But one thing that you have to remember is that slaves too lost contact. Slaves were taken all the way from Republic of Benin, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, Burkina, and they got down here. When you go to the northern part of the country, Tamale, Boko, Salega, Tumu, Damango, Sandema, Yendi, Paga, Techiman, Bekwai, Kumasi, Asan Mansu, Asan Praso, Fumso, Ofenso, Ejoso, near the Biasi, to the coast. You've lost your mother, your father, your children, your wife, your siblings, your kakumbines, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, and also your occupation, which might be farming job. You've lost everything. That is why the door of no return was very significant, because when slaves passed through that door, it was the last exit for the slaves to say bye-bye to their land.
So the lesson that we learn from the talk is that in the everlasting memory of the anguish of our ancestors, may those who died rest in peace. May those who returned find their roots. May humanity never again perpetuate such injustice. We, the living, vow to uphold this. St. George's Castle, or Elmina Castle, is 527 years now. The Portuguese who built St. George's Castle, or Elmina Castle, were here for 135 years. The Dutch who took over St. George's Castle from the Portuguese in 1637 were here for 235 years. The British were here for 85 years. And Ghana since 6 March 1957. We are here for 52 years and hope to count more.
That's the meaning of Sankofa. Go back to your roots. Sankofa.
My name is Eric, and I am a noble son of this very community. We are in that Adansi Praso. I came up with this Harriet Tubman Davis Youth Foundation to help the poor and the needy kids in this very community. So the good footprints reflect upon my living in the community. So if I leave a good example, the children and the youth will also follow me. So leaving behind a good footprint is, for me, I'm an example to the community. So whatever lifestyle I live in this community, the other children or the youth will follow. I started this very project for about 3 years now. 3 years, but it's like, it's not, as you see, we need to expand this, we need to develop this one, and the facilities here is very small. And I've been helping myself with this very project because I started having visions for this very kids and putting some hopes in some of these children, adapting some of them in school and helping them to motivate them in school and classrooms and stuff. So all things rely on me, and I really need help, support, some funds to build this very community and to build this very library, and also build an orphanage for some of these orphan kids and the needy children in the community, and also to help motivate them in school and also their future generation. We are now in the library, the small library I did establish for the kids in this very noble community. So as you can see, it is a very small room that the number of children in this very community is more than this very library itself. So our hope and our vision and our future plans is to build a community library for these poor kids, and also to motivate them, to call them to the library, to teach them how to read and write, and also to motivate them in their classrooms and their noble schools they will be attending and stuff. So we have a lot of storybooks concerning stories of the whole world, and also about some adventure stories and stuff. We have English and math and science books. No, these were donations that a generous woman from the United States by name of Gisela Becker donated to help the Harriet Tubman Kate Foundation. And we have the Addison Wesley Mathematics book from some of the colleges and libraries in the United States, and they brought it down here, and we are making good use of it. We have the science books, and also some history books, and also a lot of adventures, and also like story books that the kids can read to acquire more knowledge. This very library, the chiefs used to hold a meeting here, and we are having a royal stool here. There's a royal chair for some of the chiefs, and we have a stool here for the queen mothers who used to turn up here to educate, to advise some of these children, to motivate them to concentrate on their education and move to the classroom and stuff. So you can have the king's stool here, and we have the queen mother's stool too here. So when the chief comes here to advise the kids, he sits on this, and the queen mother sits on that. So this very noble classroom, or this very library room, we are praying that we can extend it to make it big and to expand it, and also the project which we can use to build life and put some hope in some of these kids' future. And I need more funds and support and help in order to motivate and call for more help and sponsorship for the project, and also sponsorship for some of the kids so that they can concentrate in their education and their schooling too, which is very important. And also the talent in them, we can build it.
You're good. Hi, cutie.
From the 1, 2, 3. We can find some students learning right now in the classroom, and yeah. And these are some of the students we can find here. They are trying to back up their studies and their education, and they are in the classroom of the primary 6 classroom right now studying. As you can see, we need a blackboard, well painted blackboard. We need furniture also. You can realize this furniture for the number of kids we have, almost 300 kids we have in the school. And we also need, building foundation. There's no concrete, there's no cemented floors and stuff. And by the end of the day, the kids go home being dirty and stuff. So we need teachers, common room, we need a well-structured building, and we need some support and funding in order to raise this, to support these noble kids in the aid of the foundation. Because the foundation gets to the village, talk to the people, grab the student. The government don't care about it, but we establishing this foundation knows the orphans and the needy poor children. So we are trying to bring them back to the classroom. So this organization established this in order to motivate the kids so that they can come into the classrooms to acquire knowledge. This is the time that we need a change, a positive change and support and motivation in order to build this noble foundation and the school to help these kids. All these kids belongs to the school. That's why when they saw you, they are all chasing you, saying hi, telling you their feelings, but you can read from their lips because they can't speak English. But they really need support and help, school uniforms, books and stuff in order to make it to the school.
Thank you. Bye. We hope to see you again. Okay. Good luck with your studies. You guys are so cute. You're so cute. You're cute. You're very happy. Cute kid. Yes. Yes. It's a nice school.
School.
School. School, right?